Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as Gohan in future timeline. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 141. Whis, we are sure to win, Beerus said with a scorching gaze. Wow, it seems so. Mr. Gohan hasn't even made a move yet, and there are only 3 people left on the other side, Whis chuckled. Well done. Beerus clenched his right fist. Zeno also asked the Grand Priest, are Gohan and the others going to win? The Grand Priest smiled with his hands behind his back and said, it is still unknown. There is still plenty of time. We still have time. Wow, there will be exciting fights, right? Zeno's eyes lit up. The 2 arms of the orange Piccolo suddenly stretched out and attacked Dispo. Dispo, who was out of breath, did not expect Piccolo to have such a move. Due to his carelessness, his right leg was tightly entangled by Piccolo's arms. What the hell is this? Dispo was shocked when his right leg was entangled. He struggled hard, but it was not so easy to break free from Piccolo's control. Majin Buu had already rushed up. He. Majin Buu made a face, and then he attacked Dispo crazily. Bang, bang, bang. In just a moment, thousands of punches hit Dispo's body. Fortunately, although Majin Buu's ability was weird, his strength was still within Dispo's tolerance, so Buu didn't break his defense. Piccolo went even further, raising his hand and swinging him like a sledgehammer, slamming him to the ground, and the ring was broken into pieces. Ah! Dispo roared, and a terrifying wave of ki burst out of his body, finally breaking free from Piccolo's control. At the moment of breaking free from the control, Dispo's ability to increase his speed by 1,000 times instantly unfolded, turning into a trace of afterimages that moved quickly on the ring, as if he was constantly using teleportation. Piccolo and Majin Buu were unable to lock onto his position for a moment. What a fast speed! Gohan, who was watching the battle, exclaimed. This speed is not an exaggeration to say that it is the fastest in the universe. Of course, he is the fastest in the 11th universe. On the other side, Vegeta and Toppo were both panting and looking at each other, and it seemed that neither of them would give in. His teammates wanted to help him, but Vegeta did not allow it. He just wanted to defeat Toppo alone. This is the pride of the Saiyans, and they will never violate it. Seven Suri flashed and was ready to give Vegeta a health buff. But he was rejected by Vegeta. Seven Suri was silent. He was wondering if he should cast recovery magic on both of them. This way it would seem fairer. But after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. This method seems to be stupid. The battle between Broly and Jiren has reached a peak point. Jiren risked his life to fight. Broly became crazier and crazier as the battle went on. Bang, bang. Damn it. Jiren quickly sent a ki blast behind him, but still couldn't stop the trend of falling out of the ring. Is this really the end? Seeing that his body had already flown out of the edge of the ring, Jiren's unwilling heart was twisted. He has never lost in his life. Every battle he crushed his opponent with absolute strength. He studied under Jiken, but until now he has not successfully graduated. Because his teacher was killed by a villain many years ago. Not being able to hear his recognition from Jiken is Jiren's biggest regret in this life, and it is also his biggest not in this life. Therefore, to revive his teacher, Jiken, Jiren chose to participate in the Tournament of Power. He wanted to win the tournament and get the Super Dragon Balls to revive his teacher. For this reason, he decided to go all out and fight with his life. He only wanted to win, and he could only win. But things did not develop as smoothly as he imagined. Broly, who suddenly appeared, was like an insurmountable mountain, which made him breathless. The crazy Broly was stronger than Jiren had ever met in his life. He was really surprised. He was also very excited to meet a strong opponent, and he didn't want to end the battle. But now he is about to fall out of the ring. But, damn it, who can help me now? For the first time, Jiren felt this emotion in his heart. Jiren, who had always believed in his own strength, was so eager to get help from others for the first time. Even a little bit of strength would be enough. With his own strength, he could return to the ring. But it's over. It's really over. Seeing that his body had already flown out of the edge of the ring, Jiren let out a long howl, venting his unwillingness. At this moment, a flash of lightning came from behind and rushed over. Who? Suddenly, Jiren felt a recoil from behind. Jiren, go back. Dispo's tearing voice sounded. After saying that, he was hit by the impact of Jiren's body and spit out a mouthful of blood. But the good news is that Jiren was successfully pushed back. However, Dispo also fell off the ring. Dispo. Jiren stood at the edge of the ring, clenching his fists as he watched the blurred and vanishing figure of Dispo. He knew that Dispo was not dead, but was just eliminated and went to the viewing platform to watch the game. But he felt extremely heavy. On the viewing platform. Universe 11. Dispo raised his hands and covered his head and said, "It's so embarrassing. Now we can only rely on Jiren and Topo. Our pride troopers are still too weak." Dispo. The voice of the clown god of destruction sounded. What's wrong? Dispo looked up in confusion, only to find that the god of destruction gave him a thumbs up. Good job. On the ring. Jiren turned around, his whole body suddenly burst into silver and rose-red ki. Broly stood there staring at him, and did not pursue and beat Jiren like he did just now. The spirit of not giving up in the 11th universe is worthy of recognition and should be respected. Even Broly, who is crazy, has calmed down a lot and looks forward to the next round of battle. The friendship between them comes from the 20 minutes of fighting just now. Gohan and others from the 7th universe did not deliberately intervene in this fight. Looking at the ring. Now the number of people on the ring is 10:2, and the 7th universe is already invincible. Even if Jiren explodes with more strength, it is absolutely impossible to eliminate 10 people in more than 20 minutes. Therefore, under the premise of absolute victory, everyone did not work together to eliminate Jiren and Topo. This is also an affirmation and respect for the last two stubborn fighters. Jiren glanced at the fighters of the 7th universe in surprise, and he realized something in his heart. Thoughts flashed through his mind. Some of them he was very familiar with, but some were very unfamiliar. The affirmation of the teacher. Fight alone. The power of the team. The respect of the opponent. Everything. Why are we fighting? Are we going to win or lose? Is it important? It is important. Of course, it is not important. Now he urgently needs a hearty battle. If we want to fight, then let's fight. Jiren, who had been expressionless, had a light in his eyes. He nodded slightly and said loudly, "Universe 11, Pride Troopers, Jiren, let's do this." Chapter 142. Ha ha ha. Broly laughed loudly, stomping his feet hard. Green flames burst out, and the ring collapsed as he rushed towards Jiren. Jiren's eyes also flashed with a blazing fighting spirit, and the silver and rose-red flames on his body intertwined, burning the surrounding air and distorting it. He also rushed towards Broly. Both of them were muscular men, and their shirts were blown up. The battle was very explosive and breathtaking. The exciting battle made Gohan want to take out some popcorn and soda to watch the epic fight. Goku stood next to Gohan, sighing, "This Jiren is really powerful. I really want to try to fight him." Gohan laughed and said, "Ha, Dad, you are just feeling the novelty. Broly is even stronger than Jiren. Why don't you just spar with him, and get beaten, when you have time?" "Gohan, then why don't I just challenge you to a sparring match?" Goku asked back. Yes, he is much stronger than Broly. But in this kind of combat with overwhelming combat power, the experience is the biggest pain point. It feels like you have tried your best and worked hard, but the person under you doesn't move at all, not even a hum. What's the point? Gohan smiled and said, Dad, Uncle Vegeta will always be your best friend, please don't forget this bond. Although Goku didn't understand what the term friend meant, he could understand what Gohan meant and agreed deeply. Well, Vegeta is indeed a very good opponent. Boom! 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 Jiren and Broly fought, and every step they took caused an explosion and a rumbling sound. By this time, the arena in the Void World had collapsed by more than half, and the game time was already halfway through, with only the last 20 minutes left. At this time, Belmont on the viewing platform could not help but yell, Jiren, don't waste any more time. You can't beat Broly, go and eliminate the other players first. Beerus grinned and looked at the clown god of destruction. Right, let him eliminate Gohan first. Bastard! Belmont glared at him. Beerus raised his middle finger to him provocatively. Oh, Lord Beerus is really bad. Whis covered his mouth and laughed. But Lord Belmont's strategy is correct. At least the results won't be so bad. Humph, they are bound to lose anyway. Beerus crossed his arms, tilted his head, and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. But Jiren on the ring didn't listen to the clown god of destruction. Eliminate other players first? Please. What's the point of eliminating other players if he can't solve the big guy in front of him? In the end, he can't win the tournament. What's the point of doing these energy-wasting actions? Thinking of this, Jiren's eyes condensed. He distanced himself from Broly and made a decision. He put his hands on his forehead, exerted all his strength to stimulate his breath, and prepared to burn his vitality to burst out with power. As time went by, Jiren's physical strength began to decline, and his combat power could no longer be maintained at its peak. So Jiren was now going to take a gamble. He bet that after burning his vitality, the power he bursts out can surpass Broly, and after defeating Broly, he can finish off the remaining 9 players as quickly as possible. This is his last chance. It is also the only way. He has no other choice. Seeing Jiren begin to burn his vitality, Toppo broke free from Vegeta's attack range and rushed over breathlessly. Jiren, stop it! Toppo yelled. But Jiren's eyes were glowing red, and he could no longer hear Toppo's shouts. He was still burning his vitality like crazy, urging his strength, trying to break through the limits of his body. It's not enough, it's far from enough. I need more powerful strength, At this moment, Jiren's face was ferocious, his eyes were bloodshot, wisps of mist came out of the strong muscles in his upper body, his whole body was surrounded by silver-red flames, and lightning was bombarding around him. But it was not enough, he still needed more powerful strength. Because the current level was not enough to defeat Broly. After fighting Broly for so long, he knew this better than anyone. Now in order to gain more powerful power, he would not hesitate even if he died. Power, he wanted powerful power. Jiren was roaring in his heart. At this moment, a force suddenly surged into his body. At first, Jiren thought it was the result of burning vitality, but soon he felt something was wrong. Toppo? This is Toppo's power. At this time, Toppo stood behind Jiren with his right hand on Jiren's broad back. Toppo's body burst into a dazzling light and poured into Jiren's body. Jiren vaguely heard Toppo talking. Jiren, I have learned a new move in recent years. It is called assimilation. I will give you my power. With my power, you will become an extremely powerful warrior. No one will be your opponent. Jiren, stay alive, defeat everyone, revive Master Jiken, and save the universe we live in. The rest is up to you. Goodbye, Jiren. Jiren's eyes slowly regained their spirit. Toppo. Next. Boom. An extremely strong light exploded. At this moment, it illuminated the entire void. Many people put their hands on their foreheads to block the strong light. Wow, what happened? Said the Omni King, he couldn't see clearly. The Grand Priest replied, Your Majesty, Toppo gave his power to Jiren, and the two of them merged. the Omni King said, "Really? What do they look like now? Have they become very powerful?" The Omni King's face was full of curiosity. "Ha, they have become much stronger," the Grand Priest responded. The bright light gradually faded away. On the ring, Jiren's figure appeared. Puff, puff, puff. Endless air waves swirled around him, and lightning crackled. At this time, Jiren looked even more sturdy. His height increased by another 20 centimeters, and his solid muscles were full of incomparable power. The aura that was originally intertwined with silver and rose red changed again and evolved into black and purple. The invincible air waves spread out in circles with him as the center. A black and purple air column broke through the air and rushed straight into the sky. Looking at Jiren like this, everyone had different expressions. Gohan's eyes burst into a fiery light. He clenched his fists tightly and said excitedly, "He actually fused? It's not the fusion dance technique, nor the pot-era earring fusion, but more like the assimilation fusion Namek. This is getting interesting." Gohan felt the warlike blood in his body begin to boil. He hadn't taken any serious action since the start of the Tournament of Power. Now, looking at Jiren's evolved appearance, Gohan couldn't wait to fight with Jiren. Such a powerful force, is Jiren a monster? Piccolo was surprised. Jiren is much stronger now than before. Goku's eyes lit up. Trunks said, "Brother Gohan, Jiren now gives me the feeling of facing the god of destruction." That's right, because this is Jiren who possesses the power of the god of destruction. Jiren's power already surpassed some of the gods of destruction. Now that he has mastered the power of the gods of destruction, it can be said that he has become a true god of destruction. Ah, what should we do then? Trunks asked, looking at Gohan, who was full of fighting spirit. What can we do? Of course, we have to defeat him. Gohan clenched his fists tightly, and his joints cracked. Chapter 143. Wow, Jiren's aura has become very strong, he is totally different from before, Zeno screamed in his chair. The Grand Priest smiled and said nothing. In Universe 11, the clown god of destruction stood up and laughed. Good job, Jiren, defeat them quickly. That's great, Toppo has this trick. Margarita smiled and said, this is not a rare trick. Many people in the universe know this. There is also a planet in our universe where mortals know this trick. I guess Toppo must have learned it when he was on missions in the past few years. Supreme Kai Kai also said excitedly, okay, let's defeat the warriors of Universe 7 in one fell swoop. Belmod laughed for the first time in a long time, hee, of course we can. I'm afraid I'm not even his opponent now, Jiren. I really should retire. The twin-tailed angel Margarita covered her mouth and chuckled, wow, Lord Belmod just wants to be lazy. The 8 warriors who were eliminated from Universe 11 also clenched their fists nervously, staring at the ring without blinking, their Adam's apples sliding, and they kept swallowing saliva. Compared to the bustle of Universe 11, the area of Universe 7 seemed lonely. There were only 4 people in the viewing area of Universe 7, Beerus, Whis, Supreme Kai Shin, and Old Kai. Seeing Jiren's current momentum, Supreme Kai Shin said nervously, Jiren's ki has become so strong. Will Gohan and the others have any problems? Calm down, Old Kai said calmly. Yes, old ancestor. Shin nodded quickly. Beerus snorted and said, don't encourage others and destroy your own prestige. Jiren has become stronger, but that's nothing great. Whis smiled and looked at the ring without saying a word. On the ring, Jiren looked at his fist, clenched it tightly, and then said, with this power, I will not lose again. Until now, he finally understood the meaning of teamwork. He also redefined a few words, trust, confidence, and bond. Looking at Jiren, who was full of confidence and full of momentum, Broly laughed and shouted, ah. The green aura on his body exploded, and he raised his hand, and a green ki blast shot toward Jiren. At the same time, he cut through the air at an extremely fast speed and rushed over. Jiren also raised his aura, and his whole body was surrounded by purple and black aura. Looking at the whistling ki blast, his eyes widened. An invisible air wave burst out. The green ki blast exploded halfway. But Broly, who followed closely behind, had torn the air wall, and his huge fist hit Jiren's face, with a pop sound of the air exploding. Jiren stretched out his palm with lightning speed and pressed it against Broly's fist, blocking Broly's attack so easily. Broly was stunned for half a second, then he retracted his fist and kicked with his right foot, causing the air to explode. Jiren raised his hand again and blocked Broly's kick with his arm. Under the violent impact of the flesh, the ground where Jiren stood collapsed with a rumble, and gravel flew everywhere. Ha! Jiren shouted, and the purple-black flames boiled up, attacking Broly for the first time after the fusion. Bang! A straight punch hit Broly. Broly felt the pain and was knocked back more than 10 meters. With the destructive ki, Jiren's damage output is greater than before. Aha! Broly once again gathered his ki and rushed towards Jiren. Jiren also knew that he didn't have much time left. He began to fight Broly with fierce moves. Suddenly, there was a rumbling explosion on the ring. The purple-black aura and the green aura kept colliding, and thick smoke rose into the sky. The ring was hit hard again. Boom! Purple-black flames exploded. Jiren appeared behind Broly like a ghost and hit Broly's neck with a knife chop. Bang! Broly was hit in the back of his neck. He groaned, his eyes rolled back, and he fell into the dust. His long emerald green hair turned back to black in an instant, and his sturdy body shrank back to normal. Broly lost consciousness in an instant. Wow! There was a burst of noise from the viewing platform. Almost everyone in Universe 11 stood up and cheered. Jiren, that's awesome. Jiren, come on, quickly take out the next 9 people. Kick him out of the ring. Good job, ha 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 ha. Then, a different voice sounded. Hey, what are you doing? You don't think you've won, do you? Beerus stood up, put his hands on his hips, and shouted. Well. Hearing Beerus' voice, the voices of Universe 11 suddenly fell silent. It's not that they think what Lord Beerus said is right. But they think that if such a noise makes the Omni King unhappy, then they will just be killed. The clown god of destruction had fewer concerns than the warriors of the Pride Troopers. He laughed and said, Ha, Beerus, what's the difference between now and winning? Ha ha ha. Beerus pointed at the Joker and laughed so hard that he fell backwards. Ha ha ha, you are indeed a clown. Who told you that Broly is the most powerful warrior in our 7th universe? Belmod, you are such a clown, ha ha ha. Hearing Beerus attacking her maliciously, Belmod's face changed drastically, but then he thought about Beerus' words. What did you say? Isn't he the strongest? Ha, guess why they were just watching the fight and not taking any action. Ha ha ha. Beerus laughed without restraint. Silence. The Grand Priest's voice rang out. Beerus quickly shrank his neck and sat back. Belmod also sat upright, not daring to say anything more. On the ring, Jiren raised his foot, ready to kick Broly off the ring. Whoosh! Then he kicked nothing. There was no trace of Broly on the ground. Ha! Jiren looked up and saw Gohan putting Broly on the ground. Gohan! Jiren frowned slightly. He remembered clearly that this guy called Gohan eliminated 2 universes in a row at the beginning, and then he didn't make any moves. Is he finally unable to hold back now? Humph, but no matter who it is, don't think of stopping him from moving forward. He can't lose anymore in this state. Even the god of destruction Belmod can't defeat him. Humph. Jiren snorted coldly, his face stiff, and a purple-black aura surged out of his body. He punched Gohan through the air. Suddenly, Ki roared. The sky above the void was turbulent. Chapter 144. What a powerful Ki! Everyone put their arms on their foreheads to resist the fierce air wave. The momentum arrived before the attack. The violent wind tore through the air and cut the warriors of Universe 7. The relatively weaker number 16, Majin Buu, and 7 Suri were unable to stop their bodies due to the pressure of the airwave. they retreated one after another, leaving footprints on the ground. Seeing this, Gohan suddenly activated his beast form and pressed out with one palm. The pressure on the warriors behind him dropped suddenly. The two air walls collided with each other, and a terrifying aftermath erupted. The aftermath ravaged the entire ring. In a blink of an eye, the originally bumpy and dilapidated ring sank several meters, and the large pieces of rubble on it turned into powder. Hiss! Everyone watching the tournament gasped. The warriors in the 11th universe viewing area started to make noise again. He has transformed. This is different from Broly's transformation just now. Will all the warriors in Universe 7 transform? They look colorful. He doesn't look as strong as Broly just now, so Jiren should be fine, right? Idiot, his palm wind is equal to Jiren's now. The Clown Destroyer widened his eyes. How many transformations does this guy have? The last time he fought Toppo, it was not like this. Belmod still remembered the last time Gohan transformed into Super Saiyan 4 to fight Toppo. At this time, Gohan's silver hair was soaring into the sky, and the silver-white airwaves were surging, accompanied by purple lightning, which gave people a strong sense of oppression. Not to mention the people from Universe 11, even the pupils of Cooler in Universe 7, who had always regarded Gohan as an opponent, shrank. This was also the first time he saw this transformation of Gohan. Now it looked more oppressive than Super Saiyan 4. Seeing Gohan's momentum suddenly go wild, Jiren was also stunned for a moment. But he quickly came to his senses and decided to take the initiative to fight Gohan. He believed that as long as he could defeat Gohan, the tournament would be truly over. Jiren raised his momentum to the peak, and his whole body was filled with terrifying arrogance, like a rainbow piercing the sun, rushing towards Gohan. Gohan saw Jiren piercing the air and approaching quickly, and with a flick of his finger, countless pieces of gravel on the ring flew up, surrounding Jiren's body, and then exploded. Boom boom boom. A strong explosion swept across the ring, stopping Jiren from moving forward. This is Destruction Ki. The clown god of destruction was shocked. Beerus grinned and said, I knew this kid could do it. Destruction Ki, a move exclusive to the god of destruction. This is a move that erases the existence of an object from this world. When an object is erased, a huge amount of ki is released and an explosion occurs. It is fundamentally different from normal ki. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The stones kept flying and exploded with boom boom boom. Jiren was forced to retreat. Ha! Jiren was forced into a corner, opened his ki shield, and then leaped up, waving his hands repeatedly, and black and purple ki blasts smashed towards Gohan. A very classic Prince fighting method. Boom! The silver ki on Gohan's body exploded, and the entire ring shook. He looked at the overwhelming ki rain and waved his left and right hands repeatedly, flicking the ki blasts away. The ki blasts that were flicked away hit the protective shield set up by the Grand Priest, causing a violent explosion with a very loud sound. Ha! The Grand Priest said, raised his hand, and strengthened the defensive properties of the shield. This is not a fight between two mortals. It is clearly a fight between two gods of destruction. Seeing that the large-scale attack was ineffective, Jiren suddenly appeared behind Gohan and slashed him with a knife chop. It was exactly the same move that defeated Broly just now. Whoosh! It hit Gohan in the back of the neck. Jiren was happy. But Gohan's figure suddenly blurred and disappeared. At this moment, he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Behind him? Gohan was already behind him without anyone knowing. Jiren rushed forward quickly, trying to avoid Gohan's attack. But a stone suddenly floated up in front of him and exploded. At the same time, he felt pain in his back. Gohan had kicked him in the waist. He was attacked from both sides, with no escape. So powerful. Jiren thought to himself. Gohan was much stronger than he had imagined and was even stronger than Broly just now. Being attacked from the front and back, Jiren was caught in a dilemma at the center of the explosion. Ah! He shouted, purple-black aura boiling, and forcibly broke away from Gohan's attack. But he was already injured, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Being forcibly repelled by Jiren's airwave, Gohan rolled in the air and landed steadily, then shot towards Jiren, who was bursting with momentum. He punched out. Jiren also punched out while shouting, "Ah!" Both of them used the simplest attack. The two fists collided, and circles of ki exploded. The silver airwave and the purple-black flame collided, and the ring gradually collapsed. The 9 people from Universe 7 quickly retreated. Boom, boom, boom. Half of the ring turned into pieces of stones floating in the air. Gohan and Jiren kept jumping on the gravel and started fighting. Every time they stepped on it, a suspended stone exploded, and thick smoke filled the air. Looking at the battle in front of them, everyone in Universe 11 knew that Jiren would not be able to quickly defeat Gohan. In other words, the overall situation was decided, and they could not win. At this time, they relaxed and watched the battle seriously. It was like a feast before death. The silver and purple-black bodies kept colliding and moving at high speed. The battle was unprecedentedly fierce. HAAA. Gohan raised his hand and condensed a ki blast to hit Jiren. Jiren countered and also shot out ki blast. The ki blasts of different colors collided and exploded, and cracks appeared again on the protective shield that was visible to the naked eye. The degree of ki explosion escalated again. Jiren's attacks full of true damage were actually blocked by Gohan one by one. As time went on, Jiren became more and more anxious. But Gohan, who had already established an invincible position, became more and more relaxed and felt like a fish in water. Jiren kept looking for opportunities and seeking ways to break through. But the more he did this, the more he felt that Gohan was impeccable. He had no idea where to start. How is it possible? My current strength is enough to defeat Belmod, but I can't defeat Gohan. Jiren was in pain because the time left for him was getting shorter and shorter. His chances of winning were getting slimmer and slimmer. He was already confused. Jiren put his arms on his forehead and decided to burn his vitality for the final duel. Topo, I didn't expect that even after integrating your power, I would still end up like this. Jiren muttered to himself, exerting all his strength to stimulate his life ki, burning himself, and his eyes instantly turned scarlet. Chapter 145. Suddenly, Jiren broke through his own limit at this moment, and purple aura shot up into the sky. Is this the state of God, Ultra Ego? At this moment, Jiren's skin was flowing with a strange luster. His originally expressionless face had more edges and corners, and he looked a little cold. Those dark eyes turned scarlet, and then turned into dark purple. It was like a materialized purple aura, huge and thick like a deep liquid. At this moment, he became the brightest focus of the ring. Shining and dazzling. Looking at Jiren like this, Gohan was secretly amazed. Jiren actually burned his life, forcibly broke through the bottleneck, and luckily broke through the limit again, entering a new field and managing to achieve Ultra Ego. He is worthy of being the protagonist of the 11th universe. The dog author has cheated him again. Ha ha ha. Jiren's whole body burst out with an exaggerated ki. After entering the state of Ultra Ego, Jiren changed his previous personality and became crazy, laughing non-stop. At this time, Jiren's whole body was boiling with fighting spirit, and his arrogance soared into the sky, rushing towards Gohan on the opposite side. The ring under his feet exploded, and Jiren's figure broke through the space at an incredible speed and came directly in front of Gohan. Bang, bang, bang. Fists were as dense as mercury pouring down on the ground, rumbling and hitting Gohan's body, erupting in a shocking wave of ki. In the midst of the dazzling light, Gohan had no idea how many punches Jiren had taken. Oh no, Gohan is being suppressed by Jiren. Trunks, who was watching the battle, became nervous. Let's work together to eliminate Jiren, he suggested. Humph, I won't do such a shameful thing. Vegeta crossed his arms and was the first to disagree with Trunks' suggestion. Goku looked at Vegeta and said, Vegeta, how about we fuse together? This way we will definitely be able to defeat Jiren. Humph, even if I die, I will not fuse with you, Vegeta said loudly. Then he said, Idiots, haven't you two discovered anything yet? Even though Gohan is being beaten, it's impossible that he doesn't have the ability to fight back. If it was a crushing victory in terms of strength, he would have been knocked away by Jiren's punch. But now look at what that is. That guy is just defending and retreating. Can't you see the problem? What an idiot. Piccolo nodded and said, Vegeta is right. Gohan must be waiting for something, or testing Jiren's strength. The current situation is still favorable to us. As long as Jiren cannot defeat Gohan and the game is over, we will still win. Oh, the Namekian finally has some knowledge. Vegeta glanced at Piccolo. Broly, who had completely awakened, stared with curious eyes, watching the fight between Jiren and Gohan without saying a word. Cooler's face changed, knowing that his current form is still not enough. Even if he was really resurrected after the game, he must stay alive and not provoke Gohan for the time being. Well, the hyperbolic time chamber is a very good place, and practicing in it will be twice as effective with half the effort. Maybe he can consider practicing hard in the hyperbolic time chamber for a few years first. It won't be too late to beat Gohan when his combat power is improved. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. 7 Surian number 16 watched the battle silently, without saying a word. And Majin Buu yawned and was about to fall asleep. Bang! Jiren punched Gohan in the face and threw him out, leaving a big fist mark on his face and blood at the corner of his mouth. The thrown Gohan sank into the ring, with gravel flying everywhere. Gohan pulled his body out of the ring, rubbed his face, and recovered himself, then wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and twisted his neck, making a pop sound. He looked at Jiren, who was walking towards him with a rage, and suddenly grinned. Jiren, it seems you don't have much time. Jiren looked back at the timing pillar, then said frantically, it doesn't matter. I just want to fight now. Ah, very good, I will fulfill your wish. Gohan also laughed. Then, the two of them suddenly rushed towards each other, punching. Bang! They were hit at the same time. Gohan's fist hit Jiren's face. Jiren's fist hit Gohan's chest. The terrible key exploded, and both of them retreated several steps. A fist mark appeared on Jiren's face, and Gohan's upper body clothes also exploded and turned into powder. Come again. The two rushed at each other again. They used the simplest attacks, their fists kept colliding, their legs banged together. Both of them were hit by many of each other's attacks. Gohan was beaten so hard that his blood surged. After being hit by Jiren's knee, blood spurted out of his mouth. Ha, Gohan, you are no longer my opponent. There is no limit to my power. I will only become stronger the more I fight you. The attacks you hit me with will only turn into my strength. I won this match, surrender. Gohan raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, laughed up to the sky, and said, Ha, you are so shameless. Humph, accept your defeat, Jiren said, throwing a ki blast at Gohan. Gohan dodged sideways, but Jiren had already arrived in front of him and punched him in the lower abdomen. A surging deep purple column of air burst out from Gohan's back and rushed into the distance. A deep gully appeared on the ring behind him, and wisps of green smoke came out. Phoo! Gohan spat out a mouthful of blood foam, his body convulsed, and he fell to the ground. It's over. Jiren raised his foot and kicked Gohan's body, trying to kick him off the ring. But who knew that Gohan, whose face was covered in blood, suddenly stretched out his hands and hugged his feet. Jiren's plan was thus thwarted. Asshole, let go. Jiren was furious and kicked the ground. Gohan, who was wrapped around his legs, turned into a sledgehammer and smashed into the ground. The ground cracked. But Gohan held his legs tightly like a dogskin plaster and couldn't get rid of it. Ha, Jiren, you are anxious again. Gohan laughed, completely ignoring how serious his injuries were. Anyway, his body was recovering by itself. Jiren can't kill him. Gohan, don't go too far. Jiren was furious, and a sharp aura burst out from his feet, forcibly breaking free from Gohan's lock technique. Gohan rolled in the air, and before landing, he had already condensed a purple-red Kamehameha wave. HAAA. He raised his hands and hit Jiren. Damn it. Jiren didn't expect that Gohan would launch a powerful attack on him just after he was knocked away. The attack was so dense and continuous. He was really a very difficult opponent. Jiren didn't have time to charge up and send out a ki blast to fight back. There was no way to avoid it. He had to stretch out his hands to hold down the Kamehameha ki blast that had already hit his face. Boom! Zzz. Suddenly, lightning swirled on the ring, and the light illuminated the realm of nothingness. Jiren was pushed back several steps by the Kamehameha, and 2 deep marks were plowed under his feet. Humph! Jiren snorted coldly, and the deep purple flame on his body burst out again. His aura rose again, and he pushed the Kamehameha wave towards Gohan step by step. He at this moment, Gohan suddenly grinned. Sphere of Destruction. Boom! The Kamehameha pushed by Jiren exploded. Jiren, who was hit by the explosion head-on, spurted out a large mouthful of blood, and his body was blown high into the sky. Damn it, he actually used Destruction Ki to detonate the Ki Blast. Jiren's shrill cry came from the air. Chapter 146. Gohan laughed heartily, raising his hand and throwing Ki Blasts into the sky. You have no moral principles, Jiren cursed and slapped away Gohan's Ki Blasts, almost mad to death. Now his strength is obviously stronger than Gohan. But Gohan is too tough. Coupled with all kinds of weird moves, he can't be defeated in a short time. Instead, he was tricked by him and took a Kamehameha wave. Shameless guy. Really shameless guy. Jiren kept slapping away Ki Blasts and successfully landed on the ground. But Gohan's dense Ki rain attack was still pouring down crazily. It was as if this guy had infinite physical strength and infinite Ki. What a pervert. Jiren moved at high speed, constantly slapping and dodging Ki Blasts, constantly approaching Gohan. Finally, he raised his hand and waved, and Ki Blasts gushed out from his fingers and hit Gohan. The rumbling Ki attacks kept exploding. Thick smoke covered most of the battlefield. He clasped his hands together. At the same time, a huge Ki Blast fluttered in the wind, as big as half of the ring, crushing towards Gohan and the 9 warriors behind him. Seeing such a large Ki Blast coming, Trunks and others' eyebrows kept jumping. Gohan instantly raised his ki to the peak, gathered his hands at his waist, and used a Kamehameha wave to meet it. Seeing this, Goku and others could no longer continue to watch the battle. Goku and Vegeta both suddenly changed into Super Saiyan Blue form and also sent out Kamehameha and Final Flash. Piccolo once again transformed to Orange Piccolo, pointed his 2 fingers on his forehead to charge, and roared out a special beam cannon. Purple and gold ki intertwined and rushed towards Jiren's shockwave. Trunks also became a Super Saiyan 4 and fired a Final Flash. Cooler transformed into a gold form again, and tripled a supernova to meet it. Broly shouted, "Ah," and activated the legendary Super Saiyan, and a green ki eraser cannon attack came from him. Number 16 and 7 Suri also sent out ki blasts to meet it. At the beginning, the dazzling light erupted. With the sound of boom, 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 the ring accelerated the crash. The Supreme Kai and the Gods of Destruction were equally nervous watching this. Damn it. The muscles on Jiren's arms kept throbbing. He had already pushed his strength to the limit. At this moment, he once again realized what the power of a team can achieve. If his other teammates were still on the ring, it would be a completely different scene. Suddenly, Jiren's eyes blurred, and he saw that Gohan, who was still fighting, suddenly appeared beside him in an instant. He raised his fist high and punched him in the waist. What? Jiren's eyes widened. Clone technique? Bang! Jiren was hit by Gohan's punch and flew away like a meteorite. Boom! The ki blast exploded at this moment. The extremely strong ki wave submerged the entire ring, and the scene inside could not be seen clearly. Jiren and Toppo appeared in the viewing area of Universe 11 at the same time. Because they fell off the ring, their fusion was also dissolved. Even their clothes were brand new. This was all thanks to the terrifying ability of the Grand Priest. I still lost. Jiren lowered his head. Toppo was also speechless. They hadn't expected Gohan to be so outrageously strong. Even after they fused, they couldn't defeat him. The voice of the clown god of destruction suddenly rang out, "Jiren, do you know why Jiken didn't let you graduate?" "Why?" Jiren raised his head and looked at the clown destroyer. The clown destroyer said, "Because you believe in your own strength too much, and you will only believe in your own strength forever. He wants you to learn the importance of teamwork, do you understand?" Teamwork, Jiren muttered to himself, turning his head to look at the gradually brightening arena. At this moment, the voice of the Grand Priest rang out, "Universe 11, all members are eliminated." Then, accompanied by the voice of the Omni King, all the people in Universe 11 instantly became blurred and disappeared. Before disappearing, Jiren vaguely heard a sentence, "Jiren, you have graduated." Jiren didn't know if it was the voice of the Clown Destroyer or the voice of Teacher Jiken. On the ring, the smoke gradually dissipated. Then there were bursts of violent coughing. Gohan held up a protective shield to protect everyone. There was only a 10 square meter stone left under their feet. The huge ring, including the timing pillar, was blown into powder. "Phew, I won." Several people showed visibly happy expressions. On the viewing platform, Beerus and the two Supreme Kais also stood up and cheered. "Ah, we won, we finally won." Unfortunately, not many people could share their joy. The Grand Priest floated up. He said, "Congratulations to the 7th Universe team for winning this competition." As his voice rang out, a noble scepter appeared in the Grand Priest's right hand. He raised his hand and waved it. The arena that had been blown up to a place where only a foothold was left reappeared and returned to its original state before the tournament. Only the stone pillar in the middle for timing was gone. "Wow, this is so exciting." Zeno also stood up from his chair. All the warriors of the 7th Universe looked up at the Grand Priest and Zeno. Zeno continued, "Grand Priest, according to the rules of the competition, only the best players can get the ultimate reward, the Super Dragon Balls. But who is the best warrior among the 10 warriors of Universe 7? The Grand Priest said with a smile, "Of course, it depends on the number of eliminations. The one with the most eliminations is the best warrior. So the best player should be Mr. Gohan." "Well, it's just as I thought," Zeno said with a smile. "Okay, let's give out the rewards next." Chapter 147. The battle lasted for 40 minutes, but it felt like it lasted for several months. It was finally over. The warriors all breathed a sigh of relief, except for Majin Buu, who was still snoring. His physique was a little special. Every year he would enter a period of dormancy, sleeping for a month or two. The Grand Priest put his hands behind his back, looked at the warriors of Universe 7, and said, "You all actually won the game with a full team, it's really outstanding." His Majesty Zeno was very satisfied with this tournament and gave Universe 7 an extra reward. As for what it is, I will not reveal it here. You will know it later. The following are the awards for the best players. The Grand Priest said, opening his right hand, and a scepter appeared in his hand. Then he raised his hand and waved the scepter. 7 Super Dragon Balls suddenly appeared in the void, surrounding the ring. Each of these Super Dragon Balls was as big as a planet. The Super Dragon Balls are full of mystery. Just one look at them will shock people. It is hard to imagine that there can be such huge Dragon Balls. The warriors of the 7th Universe gasped when they saw such enormous Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls are so huge, how big should the Super Dragon be? It is incredible. They couldn't help swallowing their saliva, looking forward to the appearance of the Super Dragon. It feels like they have learned something new. After releasing the Super Dragon Balls, the Grand Priest turned his head to look at Whis and said, "Whis, you will summon the Super Dragon." Whis quickly stood up, bowed to the Grand Priest, and replied, "Yes, Grand Priest." After he finished speaking, he came to the side of Gohan and others. He explained, "To summon the dragon, you need to use the language of God, so the Grand Priest asked me to summon the dragon." Everyone understood. After saying that, Whis looked at the 7 Super Dragon Balls surrounding the ring and shouted in the language of God, "Come out, Super Dragon, fulfill my wish." Along with his voice, the 7 Super Dragon Balls burst into brilliant light, shining brightly, illuminating the entire void world with a golden glow. The thick black clouds in the sky were also rendered into golden clouds, noble and holy. It is called the Void Realm, but now it is more like the realm of God. Suddenly, a huge and vast golden light column shot up into the sky, penetrated into the universe, and then quickly condensed to form a huge golden pterosaur. This huge pterosaur meandered in the universe, and its body was so huge that it was almost impossible to describe it in words. Just a pair of eyes was comparable to the Milky Way. Its body was covered with stars, and it was one galaxy after another. How magnificent! One can imagine what a terrifying existence the dragon god Zalama who created it was. The people standing on the void world could not see the appearance of the super dragon at all, but only a piece of golden light because it was so huge that it covered the entire sky. What you see when you look up may be just a scale on its body. But soon, the super dragon transformed into a projection, projecting its majestic figure above the void, allowing everyone to see its appearance. After doing this, it began to speak with a buzzing sound. "The one who summoned me, please tell me your wish. I can fulfill a wish for you, any wish." Whis looked at Gohan and asked, "Mr. Gohan, have you thought about what wish you want to make?" "Yes." Gohan nodded and continued, "Please restore the disappeared universe to its original state, but exclude Zamasu from the 10th universe." "Can this be done?" Whis looked at the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest said, "Of course you can. After all, this is the reward for your hard work. You can make any wish you want. But are you sure you want to make such a wish, Mr. Gohan? And why do you want to exclude Zamasu from Universe 10? Because he looks annoying." Gohan didn't bother to explain, because there was no need. "Wow, that's so direct." "Whis, just do as Mr. Gohan says," the Grand Priest said with a smile. "Yes, Grand Priest." Whis nodded and then told the Super Shenron Gohan's wish. The voice of the Golden Super Shenron sounded again, "Okay, this wish is very simple, please wait." After a few seconds, its eyes flashed red. Then, the disappeared warriors, Supreme Kai, and the God of Destruction all came back. Everyone looked at their bodies in astonishment, shocked in their hearts, and felt it was incredible to the extreme. "Well, your wish has been fulfilled, so goodbye." After the Super Dragon finished speaking, his body quickly dissipated, and the 7 Super Dragon Balls turned into 7 streams of light and flew towards the 6th and 7th universes. In the viewing area of the 6th universe. What happened? Resurrection? Did we just die? It's amazing, why is this happening? Hey, it turns out that the guys from Universe 7 won. But why were we resurrected? Vados laughed and explained, "That's because Mr. Gohan from the 7th universe made a wish to the Super Dragon and resurrected everyone." Ah! Would this guy actually do this? Caulifla looked at Gohan on the ring, confused and her heart pounding. A closer look showed that this guy was simply so handsome. She always respected the strong. It was even more difficult to resist a strong and handsome man. Her eyes turned into little hearts. This guy really did it. Kampa also grinned. What a reliable guy. He turned his head and made a face at Beerus. TSK. Seeing the funny Kampa, Beerus gave him a middle finger as a cordial greeting. In the viewing area of Universe 11, the twin-tailed angel Margarita explained everything to everyone. When they heard that it was Gohan who resurrected them, everyone looked at the crowd on the ring with complicated eyes and was silent for a moment. Especially Jiren. His heart was hit like never before. He put himself in Gohan's shoes and thought if it was he who won this game, the wish he made to the Super Shenron should be to resurrect Teacher Jiken. But Gohan actually restored the disappeared universe and resurrected his opponent. What a great person. At this moment, Jiren's admiration for Gohan is not only a recognition of his strength but also a respect for his great personality. He silently clenched his fists and secretly swore in his heart, "One day, I will defeat you with my own strength, Gohan." What a great guy. Toppo was outspoken and did not hesitate to praise Gohan. In Universe 2, Universe 3, Universe 4, Universe 9, and Universe 10, the same thing was happening in every universe. The guide angels explained to the others what happened. Many female contestants cast ambiguous glances at Gohan. Some bold ones even began to blow him kisses. After hearing the explanation from the angel Kusu, the supreme Kai of the Universe 10, Gawasu, thought to himself, so that's it, it was Gohan who resurrected everyone. But something seemed to be wrong. He thought for a while, and then froze. By the way, where is his disciple? Didn't Zamasu resurrect? Chapter 148. Seeing Gawasu's stunned look, Kusa guessed what happened and said with a smile, Zamasu didn't revive. Why? Gawasu was stunned. That's because Gohan said he doesn't like Zamasu, Kusa said. What's the matter? Gawasu. Okay, everyone, I'll send everyone back next, the Grand Priest spoke loudly. At this point, the Tournament of Power ended successfully. The Grand Priest sent everyone back to their respective universes. In the 7th universe, at the Universal Capsule Core. Everyone gathered here to celebrate the triumphant return of the warriors. They drank and talked happily, enjoying the food. This feeling of surviving a disaster made everyone cherish and love life more. Trunks ate a chicken leg in one gulp and then said, "Brother Gohan, why did you make such a wish?" Gohan smiled and said, "It would be great if everyone was alive. It would be meaningless if there were only a few universes left." Ha, you're right, and we just can't let the Omni King get his wish, that arrogant guy who wants to eliminate this and that, Trunks laughed. Beerus' brows twitched wildly when he heard this. Are these people so brave? Cooler felt uncomfortable and asked, Gohan, when will you resurrect me? Wait until we finish eating, don't be anxious, Gohan said, burying his head in his meal. Haha Whis laughed and waved his scepter. The halo above Cooler's head disappeared instantly. This won't happen again, Whis smiled and continued eating his dessert. Whis, you are meddling in other people's business again, Beerus said dissatisfiedly. Gohan looked at Cooler and grinned, it seems that I don't have to make an extra trip. Why are you looking at me like that? Cooler said awkwardly. He couldn't see the top of his head and didn't know he had been resurrected. You have been resurrected, Piccolo said lightly. Ha! Cooler touched his round head comically. Several people couldn't help but burst out laughing. Amid the laughter, the banquet ended. Everyone dispersed. Beerus said to Gohan, come to Beerus' planet to find me after you have rested well, and then return to his planet with Whis. Majin Buu entered a dormant period and was left at the Universal Capsule Core to be guarded by a special person. The two Supreme Kais were also taken away by Kibito. Cooler said something harsh, and he didn't want the spaceship anymore. He soared into the sky, disappeared into the horizon, and rushed into the vast universe. Broly went back to visit Pyragus. Number 16 returned to nature to guard animals and plants. As for the relatively special Sebansuri, he was taken back to Kami's lookout by Piccolo. Piccolo said that he would take good care of him and teach him the principles of life. After a period of getting along and fighting side by side, everyone could see that Sebansuri was not bad by nature and was somewhat similar to number 16. Since Piccolo was willing to take him with him, everyone naturally had no objection. Krillin, Yamcha, and other retired Z warriors also returned to their normal lives. Gohan and Goku returned to Paozu Mountain with a lively family. The next day, Sun Tzu and Pan were sitting on the sofa waiting early. They supported their hands on their legs and looked forward to the door of their parents' room. They prayed in their hearts that their parents would wake up soon. The two children stretched their necks and waited, and the door was finally opened. Gohan, wearing pajamas, walked out of the room. He saw the two children sitting on the sofa, dressed neatly. Ha! Why did you two get up so early? Gohan asked. Sun Tzu pushed his sister, signaling her to speak quickly. Pan pouted, Dad said he would take us to the amusement park. Did Dad forget? Gohan laughed and said, of course Dad didn't forget. Go and call Uncle Goten. After we have a full breakfast, let's go. Gohan clenched his fists and made a charging gesture. Dad is going to wash up first. Then he turned around and left. Pan, I think Daddy is so childish. Sun Tzu leaned close to Pan and whispered in her ear. Brother, don't talk nonsense. Really, don't you think Dad is childish sometimes? Especially the charge just now. I'll talk to Dad later. Don't. Let's call Uncle Goten. After the family finished breakfast, Gohan and Videl took Pan, Sun Tzu, and Goten to the amusement park and had fun all day. When they got home, they found that they were so tired, even more tiring than participating in the Tournament of Power. Another day passed. Gohan got up early. Videl rolled up in bed, opened her sleepy eyes, and asked with a tired face, Gohan, where are you going so early in the morning? Gohan smiled while putting on his clothes. Didn't Lord Beerus ask me to go find him the day before yesterday, so I'm going to Beerus Planet. Don't you need to go to the police station today? There's nothing else to do anyway. Yeah, but I'm still too tired, Videl insisted. Gohan laughed and said, well, just eat a senzu bean. He handed Videl a senzu bean. Videl was stunned for a moment. Can we do this? Gohan laughed and said, of course, we have the stock now. That's true, but I'll eat it later. I need to sleep for a while, Videl said, closing her eyes again. All right, I'm leaving now. Gohan leaned over and kissed her soft face, then went out to wash up and teleported to Beerus Planet. At this moment, Beerus was fishing by the lake. The prophecy fish automatically carried a scepter-shaped fish tank next to him. Whis looked up at the sky, wondering if he should add some more decorative planets. After all, the decorative stars in the sky had been blown up by Beerus when he was angry. Whoosh! Gohan appeared out of nowhere and knocked the prophecy fish away. HHHH, the prophecy fish screamed and turned its body. The fish tank and the water that flew out automatically returned to its body. The prophecy fish fell into the fish tank, and the water submerged half of its body. It breathed a sigh of relief. Mr. Gohan is here, Whis said with a smile and walked over. Beerus glanced at him and put away his fishing rod. He turned around and handed something to Gohan. Take it. What is this? Gohan took it in confusion. Before he could take a closer look, Beerus said, this is a sign that allows you to use Destruction Key, Hakai. He pointed to the earrings on his ears. It turned out to be this thing. Gohan looked at the earrings in his hand, put them on his ears a little awkwardly, and asked in confusion, I see Topo from Universe 11 doesn't have it. Beerus laughed and said, that guy's level is too low, he doesn't deserve this, you can. How about it, kid? Do you want to be a god of destruction for fun? Beerus grinned. Chapter 149. Becoming a god of destruction for fun? Gohan pricked up his ears, thinking he had misheard. He said, what? Lord Beerus is going to drop his burden and run away? Beerus raised his hand and gave him a knock on the head. How can you talk like that? Knowing that Gohan is thick-skinned, Beerus deliberately wrapped Destructive Key around his fingers, and it hurt quite a bit when he hit Gohan. Gohan covered his head and laughed dryly. Ahem, do you want to retire? Beerus said, no, this is called strategically training new people. Are you sure you don't want to be lazy? I have been a god of destruction for a long time, but I have never had a disciple. I saw that the clown Belmont had a disciple, so my curiosity was aroused. Come on, are you going to be the trainee god of destruction or not? Gohan nodded, yes. If he really became the god of destruction, he would still feel a little pressure. After all, he would be tied to the life of the Supreme Kai, and besides that, he would be subject to some constraints, which is not fun at all. But the trainee god of destruction is different, he only needs to be responsible for learning, and it is no big deal to practice occasionally. Didn't you see? Lord Beerus can sleep for decades or hundreds of years without any problems. As we all know, the gods in the Dragon Ball world are very idle. They sleep when they should do their job and play around. If they practice occasionally, the uniqueness and noble qualities of this god can be revealed. Beerus grinned and said, well, from today on, you are the trainee god of destruction of the 7th universe. I will teach you the real way to use the destructive ki and give you some powers that a trainee god of destruction should have. I hope you train hard, become as strong as me, and spread the fame of my 7th universe." Gohan laughed. "Haha, no big deal." Gohan made an okay sign. Whis covered his mouth and chuckled beside him. "Wow, Lord Beerus stole my disciple, and he said such bold words, it really makes me sad." Beerus immediately put his hands on his hips and said loudly, "Who said I stole your disciple? He is still your disciple now, but I taught him some extra knowledge that you can't teach him." Whis smiled but said nothing. After a moment, Beerus asked, "Gohan, how far is your destruction ki now? Show it to me." Beerus knows that Gohan can use the sphere of destruction, but he doesn't know where Gohan's limit is. "Okay," Gohan replied, looking up at the stars in the sky. He put his middle finger and index finger together and pointed at a pink star in the distance. Boom! A huge explosion occurred in the sky. Black smoke billowed. The pink star was eliminated. It was not ki that was used, but destructive power. Beerus was silent for a moment. Gohan's level of destruction exceeded expectations. This kid is undoubtedly a genius. Without his guidance, he can achieve this level on his own. And now Gohan is less than 30 years old. It's just enough time for him to take a nap. In time, who knows how much this guy will grow? 100 years may not be obvious enough. How about 1,000 years, 10,000 years later? What about 100,000 years and 1,000,000 years later? Can this world really accommodate this kid? Gohan said, "This is all I can do now." Ahem. Beerus coughed dryly and said, "Well, it's okay, just barely." Gohan looked at Beerus in confusion, always feeling that he had something else to say. Beerus continued, "What I want to tell you is that angels have their own way of fighting, and we, the gods of destruction, have our own way of fighting. Now I will teach you how to fight like a god of destruction. In fact, you have already seen a little bit about this." Gohan said, "Master Beerus is talking about Jiren's fighting form, right?" "That's right." Beerus nodded. "It's just that Toppo's level of destruction is too low, and Jiren hasn't done any training. Even if they force their way to that level, they can only exert 1/10 or 1/12 of their ability. If they had mastered that fighting method perfectly, you couldn't beat them." "Okay, now attack me with all your strength," Beerus said with his hands behind his back. "Okay." Gohan nodded, his expression becoming serious. Beerus asked him to use all his strength. Gohan certainly couldn't be so arrogant as to attack with a normal attack, which would be too much like Goku's behavior. Boom! Gohan clenched his fists and burst out with momentum. His silver hair soared into the sky, and his whole body was surging with silver waves, accompanied by purple lightning. His eyes instantly turned blood red, filled with a dangerous aura. He said he would go all out, and he did it. Whoosh! With a flash, Gohan appeared behind Beerus. He slashed at the back of Beerus' neck with a knife chop. Poof! Beerus snorted coldly, and his right elbow hit back at an incredible speed. The speed was faster than that of Gohan. However, when his elbow hit Gohan's body, he was stunned for a moment. Fake! At this moment, Gohan's figure appeared in front of him. The fist wrapped in blazing flames was only 10 centimeters away from Beerus. Bang! Ki flew out. Beerus' fist came after him but arrived first. The two fists collided. The god of destruction trembled. "Good boy, you almost succeeded," Beerus said with lingering fear. "Master Beerus is indeed unfathomable." Gohan grinned. He quickly retracted his fist and swept his leg over. Beerus raised his hand to block. Beerus' arm collided with Gohan's calf. The ground exploded in a spider web. Seeing that both attacks failed, Gohan jumped to distance himself. He was ready to find an opportunity to attack again. At this moment, Gohan saw that Beerus' body suddenly ignited with purple-red light. The terrifying God Ki was filled. Gohan's pupils shrank rapidly, and he felt that Beerus was a little different now. What is this? Whoosh! Beerus' strength suddenly increased. He moved at a high speed that Gohan could not catch. Bang! Gohan felt a sharp pain in his chest. His body flew backward. It was Beerus who kicked him in the chest. Gohan stepped on the air and rushed towards Beerus again with a dull explosion. Bang! Gohan felt a cramp in his lower abdomen again while moving at high speed. Beerus appeared at some point and attacked at a strange angle, punching Gohan in the stomach. Gohan flew backward, holding his stomach, and his body broke a huge dead tree before he could barely stop. Gohan raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Beerus in the distance, who was surrounded by purple and red aura, with an extremely excited look in his eyes. Hey, this is the battle state of the God of Destruction. It's really amazing. In comparison, Jiren's Ultra EGO is like a child playing house. Chapter 150. Kid, how's it? Do you feel it? Beerus grinned and walked over step by step. Every step he took made a thumping sound, as if he was stepping on Gohan's heart. Gohan's blood flowed faster and faster, and his heartbeat became faster and faster. His eyes suddenly burst into two dazzling rays of light. Boom! Gohan, with silver ki surging all over his body, stepped on the ground and rushed towards Beerus. Day. Dense attacks continued to pour down. Beerus raised his hand to block them one by one. The speed of both of them was extremely fast, and it was impossible to catch them with the naked eye. Whis watched with a smile, being the only bystander. His strength was far superior to that of Beerus and Gohan, so he naturally saw the fight between the two clearly. At this moment, Gohan attacked frantically, and Beerus either raised his hand to block, or dodged sideways, or counterattacked. In just a moment, Gohan was hit by Beerus countless times. At the beginning, Gohan would retreat after being hit, but as time went on, Gohan seemed to be getting braver and braver, and it also stimulated the animal nature in his body. Even if he was hit by countless punches, his fighting style was still indomitable, constantly entangled with Beerus. Boom boom boom. The two exchanged countless punches. Beerus was surprised to find that Gohan became stronger rapidly during the fight. Ha! Ha! Ah! A purple column of air shot up into the sky. In an instant, the God Ki filled the air. It was like a materialized purple wave of air that enveloped Gohan. The lake was in turmoil. Gohan's temperament changed dramatically. In addition to the wildness of a beast, there was also a bit of charm. The silver hair turned silver purple. One of his eyes was red and the other purple, which was indescribably evil. His eyebrows disappeared, and his brow bones protruded, looking a bit like a bad guy. The breath Ki Gohan was silver inside and wrapped in a rich purple outside, which was the same as just. The two are incomparable. This is the beast state plus the ultimate self-will. Beerus finally pushed Gohan to his limit. The purpose of the beast state is to fight like crazy. To be precise, the ultra ego is more like a state of mind. The more you fight, the stronger and braver you become. You turn emotions into strength and turn other people's attacks into your own strength. The beast state and the ultra ego do not conflict. On the contrary, they complement each other. They can bring the two forms to the extreme and burst out more incredible power. Whis, who was watching the battle, laughed. Beerus also showed a meaningful smile at the corner of his mouth. Ha! Gohan rushed out quickly. A huge explosion occurred on the lake, and the water surged into the sky. Bang! A fierce punch has been thrown. Beerus' whole body is wrapped in purple airwaves. He wants to test Gohan's attack, so he also punches him. The two fists collided. The space collapsed. Circles of airwaves shot out in all directions. With them as the center, the ground sank rapidly, and the entire Destroyer God planet was crumbling. At this moment, the two seemed to have turned into planet-destroying monsters. Whoosh! The two separated quickly. The floating rocks were also destroyed with a bang. Bang! Beerus was hit in the face and was knocked flying. Boom! Gohan was hit on the waist by Beerus' knee, which was very painful. Bang bang bang! The two jumped into the air and wrestled together madly. Ah! With them as the center, a purple-black ki blast fluttered in the wind, kept getting bigger, and then exploded with a bang. Ah ha ha! The two of them collided with each other again. Bang! This time, their attacks hit Whis' palm. Whis suddenly appeared between them and blocked their attacks. Whis smiled and said, "Okay, Master Beerus, Mr. Gohan, let's stop here." The two had to stop. Their ki fluctuations were too large, and the damage caused was also great. The small destroyer planet was seriously damaged in a short time. The task of repairing it will fall on Whis again. Beerus looked at Gohan's unsparing praise. "Boy, I was right about you. You are a good candidate to be a destroyer. With your current strength, you can easily defeat Jiren, who has merged with Toppo. It's amazing that you made a breakthrough in such a short time." Gohan smiled and said, "It's all thanks to Mr. Whis and Mr. Beerus' good teaching." Ho ho ho! Whis laughed and said, "Master Beerus, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Gohan should have discovered his breakthrough opportunity a long time ago, but he didn't make the breakthrough until the battle with Master Beerus. This is going to shock Lord Beerus, ha ha ha. Boy, is this true?" Beerus looked at Gohan. Gohan scratched the back of his head awkwardly, and retreated from his Ultra Ego and Beast form. "I was trying this form when I was fighting Jiren, but unfortunately Jiren didn't put enough pressure on me. So it was Master Beerus who helped me complete the evolution." Beerus said, "You are amazing." Gohan asked curiously, "Lord Beerus, I am curious about something." Beerus glanced at him, "What is it?" "Gohan, how much strength did you use just now?" 70%. Beerus said. "Really 70%? The first time you went to Earth to fight my father, you said you used 70% of your strength. Your strength just now is many times stronger than that time." "Ha ha ha, I really used 70% of it just now." Beerus laughed. "Gohan, to tell you the truth, you are now stronger than some of the gods of destruction. But don't be complacent, you haven't defeated me yet," Beerus said with his hands on his hips. Gohan nodded, "That's right, there is no end to learning, I will redouble my efforts to practice." Beerus' heart skipped a beat. Double his efforts to practice? No, I have to do some special training. Otherwise, sooner or later I will be surpassed by this kid. Then I will have no place to put my face. After roughly understanding Gohan's current strength and the degree of his mastery of destruction, Beerus began to customize a training plan for Gohan. Among them, the training of the God Ki, the practice and use of the power of destruction, the power and ability of the God of Destruction, and what things the God of Destruction should pay attention to. After talking to Gohan for a long time, Beerus said, "Whis will teach you more." Then he disappeared without a trace. Gohan began to practice on his own. After truly reaching the realm of the God of Destruction, Gohan entered a brand new colorful world. This practice method is different from previous forms of practice. It touches upon the use of some rules. Things that were completely impossible to do before have now become easy. For example, if Gohan was asked to collect Super Dragon Balls before, he really couldn't do it. Because he couldn't collect Super Dragon Balls as big as a planet. But now, he can do it easily. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn is Gohan in Future Timeline. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.